welcome to my fourth video podcast. And my special guest here at the bar today is Olly Harrison, aka Olly Blogs. Now, Olly's probably the most famous farmer in the UK. On his YouTube channel, he has over 50 million views. Now, I don't think that's accidental. However, he's self-proclaimed as an accidental YouTuber. But it's not just his YouTube channel that is hugely grown. All across his social media channels, TikTok alone has got one video on there. Am I right in saying about 10 or 15 million views on one video?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Wow. And of course, he's not just a farmer. He's a family man, a businessman, entrepreneur, a landlord, and generally a very nice, caring guy who supports the community. Lots of various different charities that I can't wait to hear about. So, Olly, welcome to me bar.
Yeah, welcome, yeah.
How are you, okay?
All right, yeah.
Excellent. Well,
I don't know whether I'm the most famous farmer. I think that's now Clarkson.
Well, that was going to be one of my questions later, actually, to say.
Yeah.
I think Jeremy Clarkson's obviously famous for being a brilliant car critic and a success to Top Gear and things like that. But he's only kind of recently moved into being a farmer. So is he a real farmer or not?
Well, from what I believe, he actually bought the farm quite a while ago, and it was just contract farm while he was off doing Top Gear and stuff. And then when he left the BBC and went to Amazon, I think it was, all three of them had to do a spin-off programme.
Yeah.
And he was the last one to film this, but he wanted to do it on the farm because I think he got a bit more interested in it when he stepped back from the BBC. But it's obviously been hugely successful, hasn't it?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
But what's been really good is it's near enough real. You know what I mean?
Okay.
There's not a lot. There's that much can go wrong in farming that they've not had to dramatise it very much at all. So it's been very good to teach people actually what goes on the farm.
Oh, that's good. That's good hearing from a real farmer, of course, actually saying that. So anyway, farming days then. So have you become a farmer just because it's come down through your family? Because most of the time people are born on a farm, aren't they, and end up taking over the farm and things. How have you become a farmer?
Well, I think I'm the fourth generation on the farm we're at now, but I think the fifth in Tarbert where we live. And I don't know how far back farming goes, but I keep telling my dad to do a family tree to try and work it all out. But no, I was born on the farm and I didn't want to do anything else. Yeah. I didn't like school. I was dyslexic, still am. So writing things down it just seemed hard work to be school.
Same as myself, actually, yeah.
I just wanted to get out and...
You know, the more and more people I'm talking to and getting to know over the years and getting some experience to meet people like Richard Branson and things like that, they're all dyslexic. Yeah, and they've all seemed to do really well, haven't they? Yeah,
in school it's not, because you don't fit the national curriculum and they don't understand it. But in life it's a gift because it means you can think in different dimensions. Yeah.
Did you find school hard when you were a kid?
Oh yeah, I had to be. Well, I mean, to be fair, I was all right in like the maths and stuff like that, but for like English and other things, I wasn't very good at all.
Yeah, but you were living on a farm then, of course, with your family and going to day-to-day school. Do you think that anything in day-to-day schooling now should be helping or educating kids in farming? Because it's an important part of the economy and the country we live in, isn't it?
I think it's important if people know where the food comes from. The problem is there's a lot of teachers that don't know either. So when I was in school, like, you know, you've got all these 30 people in your class, then about, I don't know, when was Facebook invented? 15 or 20 years ago.
Yeah, probably.
And you kind of like meet all your old school friends again.
Yeah.
And you find the teachers and you're like, how can they be a teacher? Like, they went to my school, then they went to university, then they've gone back to a school, and they've never been in the real world.
World of working world.
But when you're in school, you think teachers know everything.
Yeah.
But then when you know teachers, no offence to teachers that are watching, but a lot of them don't know much at all.
Yeah.
And unless they've had a good teacher, who knows? And the best teachers I had in school were ones that had worked in industry and decided they wanted to go teaching.
So they had more real life experience, didn't they?
And when I had a maths teacher, he's from round here actually, Mr. Valentine. I hope he's still with us. He was getting on a bit though, but he worked at Pilkington's Glass. Yeah. And everything he taught us in maths was what he'd done in work in real life.
Brilliant.
Like working out the height of buildings or different things to do with.
You're getting the best of both worlds then, aren't you? You're getting real life.
It's not just numbers on a page, it was how you'd practically use it.
Yeah, that's right. Because I know I was, God, sent home from school so many times. I sagged off school so many times because I was working at 13 years of age as a butcher. When I go to school Monday to Friday, I'd finish, race home, work in the butcher shop from 4 o'clock till 6, just scrubbing the blocks and cleaning up, and then working Saturdays. But then it's got to about 14, earning kind of good money. I was on like £10 a week and I felt I was rich. Basically, I wanted to work more and more, so I had to sag off school because I was having a hard time. I was dyslexic. The teachers didn't recognise it. They said I was stupid. They all used to say to me, "You'll end up in jail," and this, that, and the other. And then what's kind of ironic was, when I went on to 2003, I opened the biggest construction academy in the northwest of England, and we had 152 students, 26 teachers, and I think it was 8 admin staff working in it. When we had the opening, I invited some of my school teachers to come down and look, the ones that used to say to me, "You'll only end up in jail," and things like that. We had the Prime Minister's wife doing the official opening for us, Cherie Booth, at the time, and I had a couple of teachers ask me for a job.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting. If the ones are thinking you're just a little scally dropout, will never get a career in your life, because I couldn't read or write properly, you know. But they weren't educated at the time to be able to deal with people. I think it certainly has come on a lot more now, hasn't it?
Well,
we've got more of a chance.
The problem with schools now is it's not about what's the word? Teaching people how to think. It's teaching them how to pass the exam so that the school doesn't drop down the Ofsted rating.
Yes, because it's all about their figures, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's not like this,
which is quite sad, isn't it?
There's a saying, it's something like schools should teach you how to learn, and then you can obviously broaden your horizons faster.
Things, but they're not just teaching you how to take the exam because they want the marks as much as you do.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Like different countries do it different, and like dyslexia doesn't show.
Yeah. So where have you learned your skills then? You had a troublesome time in school, and then when you come to work on the farm, I take it was that 16 years of age?
Well, yeah, if we were digging spuds though.
So you didn't go to university to learn anything about agriculture?
So when I left school, we farmed 180 acres, and we had a guy that worked for us, and he retired the year before I left school. So he worked from 15 to 65, so 50 years on the farm. So when I left school, my dad needed a hand, so I just went straight into that role, if you will. But the farm wasn't really big enough to
180 acres wasn't big enough.
not to sort of like provide an income for me and my mum and dad, if you will. So I sort of tried to expand, did a bit of contracting with spare time with tractors, and then took on more land. We're just about 1,400 acres now.
1,400 acres all in all.
But it's still the same game. There's just a nought on everything.
I see.
Yeah. The bills are 10 times as bigger, and the income might be 10 times as bigger, but the profits certainly aren't.
Yeah, certainly aren't 10 times bigger.
No. So it's just the same game, just with a nought on everything now.
Sure.
Yeah.
So leaving school then, going straight into that farming industry, did you not have to get any further education from external parties, or was it just learned from your dad generally?
Just a lot learned from your dad. I mean, you have to do certain exams, so like to spray, for instance, putting chemicals on, you have to do
spray crop.
Yeah. You have to do an exam for that, but it's only a couple of days training and whatever. So that was one of the things. I think I did that when I was about 17. But no, just I learned a lot myself. I mean, of late, there's the farming forum.
Yeah.
So that was before social media. There was like you could go on and you could ask questions and people would reply. Okay. I learned quite a lot on there about like direct drilling, which is what we do. It's basically just, I always want to do things faster and quicker and easier with more efficiently, and that's one of the ways that people do it. So I learned a lot of that, I don't know, around 2009 probably, from the farming forum, from sort of like 97 when I left school to then. We kind of just started to do really what we'd always done. And then I wanted to, you'd go to shows and you'd see machinery and you think, well, that'll do it quicker, better, and you just go like that, and just always invested in different machinery. Did quite a lot of contracting from like the early 2000s to the late 2000s for the local authority. Cutting hedges, cutting grass verges, cutting motorways, school fields. And do the local authorities just use you because you had that plant equipment that's capable of doing them jobs? So the first time we did something for them, they were amazed at the efficiency, because we're like farmers, we've got to be efficient because the weather changes the next day. Yeah. And I remember them giving us this 10-day rota for the grass cutting. So they had a guy on a tractor that went out and it took him 10 days. Well, the tractor was broken or he was off ill and they asked us would we come in, and we did it in 2 days.
Oh, wow.
And they were like,
Yeah.
Just don't know what the other guy had been doing. Remember what, I hired him a tractor once for 5 weeks. This tractor on hire for 5 weeks and it come back and they put 9 hours on it. That's the inefficiencies. And
Let's hope nobody from the council is watching.
Yeah. So they're a lot better now, but it went on and we started doing tree work for them. Then there's a machine called a forestry mulcher, and years ago they had this thing called the Mersey Forest, and they were getting like 100 quid to plant a tree. But really they should have spent 20 quid planting a tree and 80 quid to invest to maintain it for the next 100 years.
Right.
Well, they didn't. They just spent 100 quid planting a tree, densely planted them all, and then they ended up with all these like pockets throughout the borough of antisocial behaviour because all these trees was densely packed in and kids were messing in and making dens, burning stuff and things. So they wanted to thin them all out. Well, the normal thing, going for chainsaw and a wood chipper and piss about. Well, I thought a forestry mulcher will do this quicker, so I bought a forestry mulcher. And I said, I've got this machine, it'd be really good. And it took them ages to let me try it. Yeah. I did a demonstration with them in an hour, and they were just like, you've just done what it'd take us a week to do.
Really?
So they're like, how much is it? And I was like, it's £1,000 a day. Yeah. But to them, it was saving them so much money, even though the high.
And that's the way they will look at it, the bigger picture, isn't it? What it's saving time and money.
I ended up doing a lot of work with that to the point where we were running 2 of them at one point.
Oh, wow, that's brilliant.
The only problem is it wasn't a problem because when the birds started nesting, you had to stop, but then that meant it was harvest anyway, so we were busy with that. So I did that for I don't know, 5 or 6 years. We really were doing it. And then, of course, the recession came and they ended up skint and stopped spending. And I took on more land in the meantime anyway, so... Just
that kept you busy. So going back to your farm then and the land, like the 1,400 acres of it, what do you do on there on a day-to-day basis besides your blog? And we're going to come to that in a minute. Farming on there, what happens?
At the moment, it's just starting to quieten down because we're coming into the summer, so everything's got its fertiliser, it's all growing nicely. And
when you say it's all grown, what's growing?
The wheat, barley, beans, oilseed rape.
Wheat, barley, beans, and oilseed,
Yeah, so it's all like this eye now. Yeah. So June's traditionally quite a quiet time. We've got a bit of hay to cut, so we've cut some hay, so we'll bale that this afternoon. Harvest should arrive beginning of July. So then we'll be harvesting barley, oilseed rape, then wheat, and then beans. Yeah. And then September's the busiest time because we're still harvesting crops, but we're also drilling next year's crops, so sowing them in the ground.
Prepping them for next year already, okay.
Yeah, so we'll be doing that in September, and then kind of get to November, everything should be in the ground hopefully by then. If it's not, we have to give up because it comes too wet.
Oh really?
And then you've lost the chance. You can kind of shut the gates on the fields then until sort of February. Okay. And that's when we do the tractor run, you see, in December. Yes. So, I mean, if you're a veg farmer, you're busy in December because you're harvesting veg for people's Christmas dinner. Cereals, December's quite a quiet month for us. Yeah. Just a bit of grain going out. I mean, we have some other stuff going on, like different diversification and that. We recycle 4,000 tonne of wood chip a year, so that doesn't stop. Yeah. That's always happening in the winter as well.
And what do you do with them once they're recycled?
We sell it to other people that use them in power stations, or either power stations or biomass boilers. Yeah. So there's not much waste then, is there really then on the farm? No. So we take it in off tree surgeons all year and chip it every week. We used to be chipping nearly every day, but we've got a bigger chipper now and we just try to use it once a week. Yeah.
So am I right in saying farming life pretty much is 365 days a year? Certainly if there's livestock, you don't have any livestock,
No, we don't. We used to have cows and they were in like, what was at the time £500,000 worth of barns, nice sandstone barns, and they didn't pay, you got a dead one and it took the profit out another 10. Yeah. So I was never interested in livestock, I was only ever interested in machinery, so we got rid of the livestock about 15 years ago maybe now, and converted the buildings into office space and rented them out, and that's done really well. They've just ticked along nicely, and it's just first time we decided to kind of borrowed money to do something outside of farming as well. That was the first bit of diversification, but it paid and it worked. And
that's why I wanted to ask you about your education really, because I've only known you a couple of years and I've visited the farm a number of times, but what really stands out to me is your kind of entrepreneurial drive, vision and knowledge as well. Where do you think all that has come from then? Do you think it's come from your early farming days or the latter 3 years doing the media stuff?
What did he say? The mother of inventions. Necessity is the mother of invention. So I always wanted to buy a bigger tractor or a bigger machine, and I had to work out how I was going to fund it, and you couldn't fund it through farming. So it's like, what can I do? What can I sort of sweat the assets to make them earn better money to then be able to invest it in machinery? But then you see, when you invest in machinery, it means you can farm a bigger acreage.
Yes.
With the same amount of staff, within the same amount of time, and it just kind of snowballs like that. And it's like the YouTube income. I mean, if you weren't farming, it's life changing.
Yes.
You'd have a Lamborghini and a Ferrari and a huge house, but when you're farming, it just pays the HP on a few tractors and that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
At the moment, it doesn't even cover what interest rates have gone up by.
No,
but I mean, I've got some big borrowing because I've been lucky enough to be able to buy land and other farms and stuff.
Yeah. But some of the properties, I mean, you showed me some of them, having the land that you've got and some of the buildings you've already had and you've converted, but you've also just converted it to adapt it into another avenue, a business avenue stream, haven't you?
Yeah, so I managed to buy another farm 4 years ago, and the maths of the actual 75 acres, it was never going to pay its own mortgage, but the house and the yard had potential. So when I first bought it, everyone's like, oh, why don't you sell the house and the yard off and have some cheap land? And I was like, well, cheap land won't pay. You're lucky if you can clear £100 to £200 an acre a year.
Really?
Yeah. That won't even cover
a
the
year?
interest.
A couple of £100 a year?
Yeah.
On an acre?
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
If you come to me and said, I'll guarantee you £200 an acre for the next, however many years, I'd be like, all right.
You'd take it?
Yeah, because,
I had no idea it was
that bad. In the last 3 years, we've had 2 droughts, and I've probably lost £200 an acre. So, which is 300,000 quid. But if you sold that land, if you sold that yard off and ended up with that cheap land, it still won't pay the interest. So I was like, right, well, the yard's got the earning potential. So I converted the house. Originally, I was building it into a HMO, so a house of multiple occupancy. And I come up with the idea of all the vet students at Liverpool Vet College that have horses can come live in the house and keep the horse in the stables, because the stables were there. So I put a paddock in and started doing that. Then COVID hit, and it was like, what's going to go on here? All the unis went home. So I kind of went back to what was my original plan, although I was talked out of it by my mum and dad, because they said no one's going to want to come on holiday to live here. Yeah. But I put it on Airbnb, and it turns out it's hugely successful. Lots of hen parties come because they can.
It's a massive big house.
It's eight double bedrooms. So 16 is 3 sofa beds. So a hen party can come. They're not far into Liverpool. They've got all that space, a huge kitchen. They can have a cheap hen do if they want, because they can bring all their own food and drink. We have a chef guy that can go in and cook for them, and it works really well. And I would say 90% of the things will be hen do's.
Brilliant. But how can people find out about that? What's the website for that?
The easiest way, I think it's brookhousestay.co.uk, or it's on Instagram, brookhousestay. But it's gone really well. I mean, I don't know whether it will this year because interest rates have gone up, but last year the bookings and the cleaning and the electric all paid, and the mortgage.
Yeah, it covered all the mortgage.
Just from the farmhouse, and I still have the land as well to farm. Which obviously then wasn't paying rent on as well, because I did used to rent it before I bought it.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's amazing.
So no, it's gone well, but interest rates at the moment.
It's crippling, isn't it? I know. I've got a number of units myself, and it's just gone up like that, and the rents haven't. They're just there. Mine are pretty much running insolvent. I mean, it's only to have a media company to be able to prop them up a little bit.
The good thing is like we've got high interest rates because we've got inflation. So we've got inflation on the assets. So when you look at the value of the property, it might have cost me an extra 40 grand a year to mortgage it. Yeah. But it's going up by like 80 grand a year in inflation.
I see, yes, yeah.
But you've still got to make the payments to keep the bank happy.
Of course you have, yes, every month.
Yeah, so you just work harder every year. Kids will be rich.
Yeah, I keep saying that. Kids will be rich, yeah. So, and I mentioned also as well, obviously a family man, recently got engaged at Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, well,
And, Charlotte said yes.
Queen.
And you've got a young son, James, as well, just had his first birthday.
Yeah.
Apologies, I couldn't come to his party as well the other week.
Well, we didn't want chicken pox, so that was fine, yeah.
Oh, poor little Lennon popped up with... No, they're fine now, yeah. We were due to go to the party. We're really looking forward to it as well. Appleby, is it?
Appleby, Saddleworth.
Saddleworth, that's right, Saddleworth, sorry, yes. And we were excited, we were looking forward to it, but poor little Lennon got chicken pox. He had spots all over him, bless him. Yeah. So it wasn't good, but did the party go well?
Yeah, it was good. So it was a bit of a I mean, Charlotte didn't know at the time when she was organising it that she was going to be getting engaged, so it was just kind of like James's birthday and then like a bit of a housewarming, because it's a holiday let that she'd built, so it's a converted stable that looks over the hills. It's amazing.
Beautiful, yeah. You showed me some pictures of it.
Yeah, so that's it. What's that called now? Ned's Cottage. That's on Instagram.
Ned's Cottage. That's on Instagram too. So people can rent that, can't they?
Yeah, it's got 3 double bedrooms. I think it probably sleeps about 8, 10 maybe.
Perfect.
Got a hot tub looking out.
It does look lovely. Yeah, I've seen the pictures of it. It's great. So what happened at Buckingham Palace then? How did it go?
So, I got invited to the garden party because of the charity stuff, which I'm sure is on the question sheet. I've seen it. They made me a deputy lieutenant of Merseyside. Yeah, so I could put DL after my name. Yeah.
Really? Oh wow!
So they invite you then to the garden party as well. Yeah. So we went up to there, and I knew I was going, and I thought we're going to get in. Although I thought I want to do something that no one else can ever top. So I thought, well, not many people, I'm sure, get engaged at Buckingham Palace. So I waited for that day, like.
Brilliant.
But it was a total surprise to her.
How did Charlotte react?
Well, she couldn't talk and she didn't understand, and she's just like, she was completely shocked. I should have recorded it.
I can't
and
believe
I was like,
didn't.
Are you going to say yes? And she's like, yeah. She's just like. But what was funny was the day before we'd been in Harrods and she'd been looking around the jewellery section in Harrods and she'd been showing me these rings she likes, and I'd just been like,
Yeah. I've heard about the rings from...
from Boodles. Yeah. Very expensive, but
not cheap. Amazing quality, of course.
Well, that's it. I think they never lose any money, do they? They are investments, like, so, but, yeah.
So, any signs or dates for the big day?
Not for a couple of years.
Because
she's obviously pregnant at the moment as well, the second.
I was about to ask, James is 1 now, and is any more on the
horizon? So, first of November, she's due with a little girl. So, which I've just given away to YouTube. It's a secret at the moment.
Oh, great. There you go. You've heard it here first. So James, being your eldest boy, would you like him to take over the farm when you're ready to retire and step back?
It would mean that I've been working for something like, but I don't know. I mean, I was talking to a friend actually, and I was saying, I've got a little boy now. I can retire in 18 years. And he said, I've got 3 girls. I can retire whenever I want. And I thought, yeah, you're right, actually, yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I've got a daughter who's 11 in next month, and you know, she's sort of interested in the outdoors. She hinted at being a vet, but she's not really interested in. Not hinted in anything recently, but I've tried in a way to get it into the farm in a position where there's 3 different yards, so that they can be split. You know, so if everyone wanted to farm, they could do their own things on there. That makes sense, doesn't it? You know, or if someone just wanted to farm the land and someone then wanted to run the holiday side of it or the office side of it, you know, because there's no point building an empire if it all falls down. That's you need to be able to.
It's got to be propped up well, hasn't it? The foundations have got to be
dividable.
There. Yes, yeah. And if one isn't running as strong, the others could possibly prop it up in some way or another. So, blogging then. You self-claimed as an accidental YouTuber, but you've got 50 million views on your YouTube channel. That's hardly accidental, is it? How did this all come about? How did it come about?
Being a good talker, the BBC used to, if ever there's a weather event, the BBC love it. So they come out and they're like, oh, can you talk about the dry weather? Can you talk about the wet weather? So over the years, they'd been out, because Salford's only up the road, Media City, and they'd do stuff for North West Tonight. So Judy Hobbs, environment correspondent, used to come out. And they liked coming because it was always like, it was outdoors, it was visual, it's better than standing outside a courtroom, you know, or a police cordon because someone's been stabbed or something. So they'd come out on the farm and it'd be like a nice story or as what they like, a doom and gloom story about the weather, but at least it was outside. So over the years they've been coming doing different things, and then they just said, can we follow you for 12 months and film what, you know, every few months we'll come out and do an update what you're doing on the farm.
Oh, so it wasn't every day, it was just every couple of weeks?
Every couple of months, every season really. So we started doing that. And then it kind of just carried on, and you know, it got to, I think we've been doing it about 2 or 3 years. And they'd arranged to come out this day in March 2020. And I was like, yeah, no, that's fine. Well, that turned out to be the first day of the UK lockdown. Yeah. So
that was the first day of the UK lockdown?
Yeah, so they'd said, can we come out 2 weeks on Tuesday? Yeah. And I was like, yeah, no, that's fine. And then obviously the world changed overnight that day, the day before, and they said, oh, you know, we've got this big lockdown. You're a key worker. You can still work.
Got to carry on working.
we're still allowed to work because we're, you know, keeping people sane by telling them what's going on in the world. Can we come and see you still? And we'll use a long lens and we won't get in the cab, because they normally get in the tractor cab and film what I'm doing. I was like, yeah, no, that's fine. So they came out and we're filming this Tuesday morning, and it's eerie because the roads are quiet and everything. And they made this video of what we were doing, and they said, oh, the only thing is there's something missing because we're not in the cab. Can you film something with your phone for us? And we'll try and use that footage. I was like, well, yeah, I've just got a new iPhone, because 2 weeks before I'd been in Pripyat in Chernobyl. In Ukraine, yeah. So I'd been a few times over the years visiting farms out there, and I always wanted to go around Chernobyl power plant. Yeah. And there was tours, and anyway, so me and my two mates decided that, well, one of us booked the flights, one of us booked an Airbnb, and then the other one booked the tour. And we went out on a Friday, left Manchester Airport, car park was full. Come back 3 days later and the world had changed because COVID had started to hit, all the flights were getting cancelled and the car park was empty when we come home. But it's the best place to be in a pandemic, there's no one there. And we went round Chernobyl, an amazing experience, and I'd got a new phone to take some really good pictures. So anyway, it's like a week later and we're filming with the BBC, and they're like, can you film something on your phone? I was like, yeah, okay. So I got my phone out of my pocket, felt like a right Wally talking to my phone, saying what I was doing. And then like I pulled up next to them, and they're in this like, they've got like an editing van, and they use Apple computers. So you just airdropped it across the field like 10 foot away with a boom mic, you know. Airdropped it to him and he started editing it. You know, we've got a 10 grand lens on this camera, and what you've done is just as good a quality in your phone. Really? It's amazing. So they said, we're going to have to tell our boss how you did this, because she'll think that we've been in the cab with you. So it went out that night, 2.5 minutes of what was happening on the farm that day. I screen recorded it off iPlayer and just put it on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And loads of people watched it, like, oh, it's really interesting, you know, we're all stuck in, we've been furloughed, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I didn't really think much of it. The next day, I'm going up and down the field, I'm a bit bored. Radio was rubbish, it was all about the pandemic. Took my phone out of my pocket as a joke, said, oh, it's day 2 of cab isolation, I called it.
Did you? Yeah.
And I just put it out there, and then loads of people watched again, and then the next day I did it again as a joke. And the next thing, I've been doing it for about a week or 2, and then the NFU were like, oh, can you use the hashtag lockdown learning?
Who's the NFU?
National Farmers Union.
Okay.
You start using the hashtag lockdown learning because, you know, it's obviously educational, the videos. Yeah. I was like, well, okay, so I started putting that hashtag on. I was putting it on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And then I had a few teachers messaging me going, oh, can we use your footage for teaching the children? Because they're all doing online learning now.
Oh, learning from home, weren't they? Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I'll send you the video. So I'm like sending it over WhatsApp, but some of them are getting 3 or 4 minutes long, and you can only send 2 minutes on WhatsApp. And I was messing about. So after about 3 or 4 times, I said, oh, sod it. I'll just put it on YouTube and I'll send you the link. Yeah. So I'd had a YouTube channel years ago just for messing around when we dropped a piano off a forklift and, you know, drove over.
As you do.
Just drove over my mate's taxi with a digger and stuff. So we were like, so I started uploading it to YouTube and just sending people the links. And I'd said in the settings that it was made for children. Anyway, I carried on going, and I thought, when do I stop? And I thought, well, I'll stop when the world goes back to normal. But it wasn't. Happened. But it wasn't. So, you know, you know, COVID really started to come in, and then we planted some sunflowers that we were going to do a charity maze for, and people had seen them growing, and then I thought, well, I'll do 100 days and I'll stop. Well, 100 days was the middle of harvest. We had a combine coming on demo. People were loving the machinery, so I thought, right, okay, I'll do a year. My dad keeps a 5-year diary, so he has a diary every night. He writes in what he's done. After 5 years,
he's full of 5-year diary? Yeah. That's nice, isn't it?
So I thought, well, I'll do a year. The year the world went mad, that's what I did. Yeah. Anyway, we were about 9 months in, and there's a guy, I had about 800 subscribers at the time, which I thought was pretty big.
You had about 800 subscribers at the first year?
After about 8 or 9 months.
8 or 9 months, okay.
And there's a guy in Wales, Cotland Farmer at the time, who had 10,000, so that was massive. Yeah. He's like, oh, I've been watching your videos, they're really good, but did you know you're dead hard to find on YouTube because you've got your channel set up made for children? I was like, oh, right, how'd you change it? And he's like, oh, you have to log on with the computer, I was like, oh, I can't be bothered doing that, you know, I'll just use my phone. Then he carried on. A couple of weeks later, he's like, I'll send you a video how to do it. And he did, he sent me a video how to log on with it.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
And I changed the settings. Anyway, in about 3 weeks, I had 1,000 subscribers. It like gone up 200 dead quick. Wow. And I had 1,500 subscribers. And then I'd got to like the January then, so like 10 months in, and I had 3,000 subscribers. Wow. And I was like, this is growing pretty quick now.
Yeah, very.
Anyway, I said I was going to stop after a year, and everyone was like, oh, you can't stop after a year. And there was some flooding.
And how regularly do you think you were putting these videos out?
Every
for
day
that
still.
First year, it was still an everyday blog,
With the odd live like now.
Yeah.
And it was January, there's this flooding happened up the road, and the police rung me up, the local policeman said, oh, could you help us? All these houses are flooding, there's all this water coming out of this field. Wasn't one of our fields. It is now, actually, randomly, we do rent it, but I went up with the telehandler with the bucket on, and I was just making soil banks to divert the water away from these houses because it's flowing off the field. And I was just filming it because it was a normal day to me. And on the way, I'd gone under a railway bridge, and there's a bit of a dip in the road, and it was flooded, and the water was maybe about that deep. Yeah. When I come back, it was too deep to get through because it
even with the tractor.
Yeah, with the tractor. Yeah. And there was a car in the middle of it with a guy sat on the roof. This old fella. I was like, oh, shit. So I tried to get to him, and I couldn't reach him without it, seizing the engine. So I'd obviously film, oh, look at this poor guy kind of thing, and there's some people had come out and stopped and called the fire brigade, and I rung the lads up at the yard and said, come with a really long trailer. Yeah. We'll be able to back the trailer and use it like a pier. Yeah. So the lads came, and we backed down the road in the fire brigade, and we rescued this guy out of this car. He's in his 70s, and warmed him up, put him in ambulance and stuff. Yeah. And it was just the daily video to me. So that night it went out. Well, the Liverpool Echo obviously saw it.
Picked up on the story.
And they shared it on their channel. So that time I was getting like, 2,000 or 3,000 views. Suddenly I had like 9,000 views. I was like, wow.
On that individual video.
On that individual
It's
video.
a big jump, isn't it, from 2,000 to 9, yeah?
And I had like 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers, I think. So I did what they call monetize the channel. Because I'd said I was going to stop after a year, and the next door neighbour was like, are you mad? You could earn a fortune. I was like, oh, don't be daft. Anyway, I monetized the channel, which basically you allow YouTube to use advertising on your channel. Anyway, the next day I'd earned £1.49. I was like, wow, like free money. So for like 10 months I'd been making a video every day.
It feels like free money.
Not had a penny out of it, and suddenly I had like £1.49. I was like, this is amazing. Best £1.49 I've ever earned. Anyway, I carried on, and then the next day it's like earned £2, and then it's earning £3 a day, and then it's earning £5 a day. I was like, oh, it's actually paying for me time now. Yep. And we're getting near the year, and I said I was going to stop, and everyone's like, going, no, you can't. And then,
did you feel any peer pressure to actually
a little bit,
continue, or were your heart and heart wanting to stop or continue?
I kind of did want to stop, but then equally, I did enjoy it because you can kind of dump your day on the internet. Yeah. If you had a bad day, you can dump it on. And then obviously it started to pay for me time. So suddenly it's earning like £10 a day, then it's earning £20 a day. And I'm like, that's actually paying me really well for that half an hour of editing or whatever. So I suddenly started doing the maths, thinking if this is growing like this, by June, I'll be able to get enough money every month to buy a new sprayer. Yeah. So I'd got to the year, and I thought, well, now it's paying, I'll just carry on and give it another year. So I said, if people want to carry on watching, I'll carry on making them, and you can buy me a sprayer. Anyway, the Farmers Weekly rung me up and said, is that an April Fool? Because the office think it's an April Fool, that YouTube's going to pay for your sprayer, because they're 240,000 quid. Ouch. And I was like, no. I said, I've got a deposit with my old one. I said, it'd be, £2.5 grand a month. I said, by June, if it carries on at the growth it's got now, it'll pay for me sprayer. Wow. So they did an article about it. Anyway, it carried on. But unknown to me, end of April it flies, because marketing, they get rid of the budgets. But come end of March, come the 1st of April, it falls off a cliff. Okay. So it went from like up here to down there. I was like, oh no. Anyway, luckily, because the sprayers are hand built, it wasn't ready till August, so the first payment didn't go out till September. Yeah. But by September, it was earning £2,500 a month. It paid for the sprayer. And then it kind of carried on. So I bought some other tractors off the back of it, but interesting ones. So like
you actually collect tractors, don't you?
So what I'd call modern classics. Yeah. So like stuff that's 10, 20 years old that's like will be a classic one day. Yeah, you're trying to hold on to them. Yeah, I'm trying to hold on to them, and we can use them, and it makes the videos interesting as well.
Yeah. So because you've got a few really old ones, what look like scrappers. Have you got round to doing them up yet? No. That was the plan. When we've got some spare time, we'll do this tractor up, and it'll be like a rags to riches. When does a farmer have spare time?
Yeah, no, that's the problem. So I've got a college interested in doing a couple of them up, so that'll be good if they do it, because we can go and document it, and it's obviously good for the college then as well. Cause,
brilliant.
They'll get people interested in joining.
It's good work experience for them, working on them, isn't it, and bringing them back to life.
Yeah.
And great content for your YouTube channel.
Well, hopefully, yeah. I don't want to go out my way to make content, but then, if it's interesting, I'll do it.
Yeah, great. And your YouTube channel now, I think, is it close to 80,000 subscribers?
Yeah, nearly, yeah.
50 million views.
Yeah, the thing is, though, you've got shorts now. So YouTube lost a lot of ground with TikTok.
Yeah, that's right.
So they've created shorts. So you get subscribers that subscribe because they've seen you short, but I wouldn't call them real subscribers.
No.
Because
I didn't like the shorts either myself, because we do, as you know, we do only do a little bit on YouTube, nowhere near to the scale of what you're doing it. But we tried to do a little bit of a blog on just the Craig Phillips one, and then we've tried to just cover what our work stuff ones and the videos that we make for our clients on the Mr. and Mrs. one. And it's just slowly kind of building up. But when the YouTube shorts come in, I just like, it looks bad the way it's laid out, but they've separated it now, haven't they? So you can see your video separate and then your short separate, which I think makes it a bit better. But it generally wasn't a liker of them.
But like, I mean, I've got one video that's gone a bit viral and it's gained me 15,000 subscribers, just one video.
One video, 15,000.
Is
that the one with 10 million views?
Yeah. So, but I don't think they're a real subscriber because they've subscribed for short form videos, not 10-minute videos, which mine normally are.
Ah, right, okay.
So you kind of like, the video when it first went, you know, I was getting like, you know, 200 or 300 subscribers every day. And then when it started to like peak and die off, you were getting new subscribers, but you were also losing the people that were like, I don't want to watch a 10-minute video, I'm not following them.
Okay.
So then suddenly you get
Do you
this
think that's the younger generation who are used to watching the TikTok and just rolling through reels on Facebook and things?
Yeah, so it kind of like, I think it's wrecked YouTube, if I'm honest.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I think, you know, it should have been separate.
Yeah. So any advice to people who are watching and thinking doing a YouTube channel, would you say stick to your standard format videos, 5, 10, 15 minute long?
Yeah,
not
I mean,
dilute it with shorts?
So there's a girl I know, Charlotte Ashley, and she did a little bit of TikTok. Well, did quite well on TikTok and did a bit of YouTube. And I was like, oh, this is how I do it. She'd spend 3 hours editing a video. I was like, oh no, use your phone. Get the app, splice, off you go.
You're listening to this, lads.
So she started...
You spent 3 days editing my videos.
So she started doing what I was doing. Yeah. And her channel grew really quickly. And then there's a lad, Gareth Wyn-Jones, he's in Wales, sheep farmer. And he's quite famous for like ranting about what's going on in vegans and stuff. And she went to visit him a few weeks ago and told him exactly what I'd told her. So he started putting stuff on YouTube and he put this one video on, and last time I looked, it had been watched 136 million times.
One video he put
One video of sorting some sheep out with a gate. And he went from having like 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers to 300 or 400 subscribers in like 2 weeks. But they're just there for the shorts.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's great if you're only going to ever put shorts on.
Yeah.
But like, they're probably not going to watch the longer
the
form
main
stuff.
videos of it. Yeah. I mean, we have started putting some of the shorts on there, but it's only because when we produce a video, whether it's for Wagner paint sprayers or Frenchy paint or 3C or something, they want the main video because people look at it for step-by-step tips if they're fitting a bath or paint spraying a door. But they're also asking for the short versions to be cut just to get the followings on Facebook, Reels and TikTok and things. So I kind of think for us, the way we look at it is the main cost for us is to, well, you've seen our studio, haven't you, over there? For us, we're doing a bathroom in there, so we'll make 20, 30 different videos out of that, fitting a bath, the toilet, the sinks, the showers, and etc. So we spend the time pre-producing it, scripting it, lighting it, setting it, obviously me building it, presenting it, and then the guys edit it. So we have a 10 or 15 minute video for the step-by-step, but because we've got all that content now in the bag, it's only a small extra cost for us, the guys, to edit for another couple of hours or half a day to make that 10-minute video into a 59-second one, which suits, your shorts type of thing, doesn't it?
Yeah. The strange thing is like the YouTube, I aimed at it showing people what goes on a farm, but loads of farmers watch.
Okay.
Because like farmers
do they criticise what you do?
Not so much. You get a few, but not really. I'm very lucky with that, but a lot of farmers, when they go down the road, they'll be looking over hedges, what everyone's up to. Well, they can do that from the comfort.
Neighbours.
They can do that from the comfort of their armchair, you see, at night or in bed. So that's the strange thing. So probably half the people that follow me, I would say, would be farmers.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you say half the people who are following you are farmers, do you think it's going to get to a point where you kind of saturate your audience? Or I don't know how many farmers there are in the UK, you probably have a closer idea than me, but let's say there's 500,000, right? And half of them are on social media and YouTube. Once you've got them as a captured audience, do you think that could slow your momentum down of growth?
I don't know, because like a lot of them are all over the world as well. Like there's a lot of farmers in the world, isn't there? So I don't know.
Do you know what the percentage rate is from your...
Yeah. I mean, it tells you the demographics.
Yeah.
You know, there's quite a lot in America watching now, Australia,
Really?
New Zealand. Yeah. So I don't...
It's going to continuously grow,
I
isn't it?
don't quite know. And there's obviously like, there's people being born every year as well. And
Yeah, do people.
you know, people are going to get to 16 and discover a video and think, oh, I'm old enough to watch. I don't know. It's the peak age is around my age that watch.
Yeah.
Which is strange. So.
Okay. So the videos that you've done now, and I think there's about 1,300 videos up on your YouTube channel now. I had a quick look last night.
No, I think we're on it's like day 1165. I think today.
Yeah, because I know we were with you that day when you were doing your 1,000th day, but you're on about the 1,100th day on the blog.
Yeah, so yeah,
1,000. I think you put about 1,300 videos up, haven't you? Because you put a few live things and stuff on it. Yeah. Is there anything you can kind of recall being the most memorable day of making a video? You know, the best ones. Any jump out of mind?
What was quite a funny video was last July we went out with the combine, and I was doing a live video because we just started combining that season, and I'm filming and I'm going around the cabin, and the next thing all the warning lights come on and the combine's going crazy beeping at me, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to go, something's gone wrong, and I cut the live. Well, that video that went out that night, which was obviously what I was doing that day and what had gone wrong, went out, that suddenly was flying because everyone had like been cut off from this live, or they tuned in later and seen something go wrong. Yeah. And it had gone off. So and then for years, one of my most watched videos was when we had the sunflower maze. They come and did a Calendar Girls shoot in it.
Okay.
A drama group from like Cheshire somewhere.
Yeah.
Pissing down. And you couldn't really see anything, but like the thumbnail and it was obviously really good for the algorithm.
yeah. It worked well.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the sunflower maze?
Yeah, so when I was in the Ukraine years ago, travelling from the east to the west, and there was, it was like January, and you've got Kharkiv we were in, which is where they first invaded actually, and you've got these massive fields that meet the horizon, full of snow. You've got this white sky because it's snowing, and it's just like looking at that wall, obviously without the gin bottles. And I said to the translator that was with us, like, it's amazing, the size of the fields. He went, oh, you should see them in the summer when they're full of sunflowers. Yeah. I thought, I'll never get the chance to go back in the summer. So we'd had a field that the rabbits had just destroyed in the spring. So I thought, I'll grow some sunflowers and see what they look like, see if I can grow them. And I did. And I had this amazing display of sunflowers. And didn't know what to do with them. So I just took a few pictures and put them on Facebook. And my friend's wife, Linda, you'll have to, it takes a bit of following this. She was like, oh, can I have some? And I just went, yeah, £10 a bunch, just joking, like. It's like, I'll have 2 bunches. And then my other friend's wife, Amanda, was like, oh, can I have some? And I was like, yeah. And at the time, Amanda was going through cancer treatment, so she lost her hair, and you never knew when was a good time to call in and stuff. And I was like, yeah. I said, I'll bring you some round. Is it convenient tomorrow? It's like, yeah, come round. So I went round with this biggest bunch of sunflowers she'd ever seen. Gave them to her husband, Nick, who's a bit entrepreneurial, a bit like me. He's like, bloody hell, he said, this is a massive bunch. He said, how many have you got?
10,000.
He's like, the £10 a bunch. He's on his phone. He's like, the £10 a bunch in Marks and Spencer. How many have you got? And I was like, well, there's a hectare of them, so that's 10,000 square metres, say. So 3 per square metre, 300,000. And he's like, it's worth a fortune. She was like, yeah, I know. He said, you're not going to harvest? I said, well, I can't. I said, I'm still busy cutting wheat. Yeah. They're just there. Anyway, I'm driving back from the house, and it's at the time Michael Gove had just become the Environment Secretary for DEFRA or whatever, and he's talking about this public money for public good and paying farmers to do stuff for wildlife and different things. And I thought, there's some value in that field, I need to harness it. And I thought, right, I wonder would people buy them, but not to take out the field, but to leave in the field for birds to eat over winter, and everyone that's bought I won't harvest. I thought, well, they might not give me the money, but they might give it to a charity. So I thought, I need a charity, and I just Googled these 3 words, sunflowers charity, Liverpool, and on Google came up Liverpool Sunflower Cancer Care Charity. So that's perfect, I've just been with someone suffering from cancer. Yeah. And they had a Facebook page, so I clicked on it. That night, they were having a charity salsa dancing evening. And who was going but my friend's wife, Linda, who'd asked for them bunches of sunflowers.
Oh, really?
I was like, that's really weird.
Stars in lining.
So I was like, well, that's the charity. So I didn't know how to do it. And I just put on Facebook a post that evening saying, I've thought about doing this. People can buy the sunflowers and then they can go out to the, say in the field and raise some money for this charity. How do we do it? And lad who we sell straw to was like, oh, it's dead easy. Go and just give in, separate page, click the charity. That's it. 10 minutes on my phone, done it. Put it on Facebook, went to bed. Next morning, woke up, I'd raised 500 quid overnight. People buying these sunflowers. I was like, that's brilliant. Yeah, the charity are on the phone to me then going, oh, I can't believe what you've done. We had a charity salsa dance in Eve last night. It took 2 months to organise and we only raised 300 quid. You've raised 500 quid in your sleep. But the interesting thing was Linda originally wanted them sunflowers to give us a raffle prize at that event.
Oh, right.
So she never got the raffle prize, but in the end, ended up with about 10,000 quid.
Wow.
So the year after, I thought, right, I'm going to grow more. So I grew 20 acres. I thought, I want to make a maze.
20 acres?
Anyway, it was a drought and they were about this high and they were rubbish, dead weedy. So it didn't have a maze. Year after, tried again, similar sort of story. And then BBC Green Planet rang me up in just before COVID, so like January, February time. Said, I believe you grow sunflowers.
Had you been talking about it on your YouTube blog?
Obviously, no, it hadn't started yet then. Okay. There's news articles about me growing sunflowers because we raised the money for charity. So it made it into the papers at the time as well, and on the news. So they'd obviously Googled, found me, and said, can we come and film the David Attenborough for Green Planet? I was like, oh yeah. He said, are you growing them again? I was like, yeah. Anyway, I thought, right, I need to put loads of effort into these. So we picked a field, put loads of muck on it, loads of fertiliser on it, really put some effort into it. Grew these sunflowers. Of course, he couldn't come, could he? Because it was COVID.
Oh, because was Sir David actually going to come?
He was going to come filming,
Wow.
They did send a camera crew in the end, and they've set up this train track through, and we're scanning through with all these cameras, and the Canadian girl come with one of them, and she had like hairy armpits. It was a bit scary. Like lifting this camera up, I was like, whoa, I didn't expect that. But yeah, so they filmed, but I obviously had this field of sunflowers, and I was like, right, I'm going to make a maze. And people had been watching the videos, so they knew I'd got them and stuff. And the social media started to grow a little bit, so I got a lawnmower. Someone lent me one that was watching the videos. I said, I need a really good mower to put these paths in, and he fencing contractor, and he used it for cutting the side of motorways, like brambles and stuff. He's got this beastly lawnmower. He said, I'll drop it off, you can borrow it. So we cut these paths in on the Friday and opened the maze on the Saturday. I only really decided I was going to do it on the Wednesday, and it flew. And I said I'd give half the profits to charity because I needed some of the money myself to pay for them, and it was a bad year. We'd had a drought. We took 100,000 quid.
And it's costing you to do that as well, isn't it? Machinery, fuel, you're paying...
It cost me about £7,000 to do it, and then staffing it, but it took 100,000 quid in 28 days.
What?
So I think I ended up with 43,000 for charity and 43,000 for myself.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So I split that between 4 charities that work with the NHS.
Oh, good for you.
And
that's great.
Again,
that's saying what I said earlier about you've got this really combination of entrepreneurial but very nice, caring kind of businessman as well, of doing what's right for yourself as an entrepreneur, but also making it where you helping the communities and local charities around you. So
everyone that came said they wanted to come back if we did it again the next year. So the next year, which was 2 years ago, instead of growing 10 acres, I grew 40. and what I did was every time they grew and got to 3 leaves, I planted another 10 acres and another 10 acres. So the idea was they'd flower for longer over the summer. Yeah. Because we only got 28 days from them looking amazing to looking rubbish. Is that all there is? Yeah. The window. They don't flower for long. About 2 weeks, but obviously they don't all flower at the same time. So I stage grew them, had 40 acres, sorted all the staff out and all that, and it, in double the amount of time and 2 or 3 times the costs, it only took like 40 grand. And when you gave half it away, I was left with nothing as well. So, I thought I'm not doing it again. But I did like growing sunflowers, so I did grow them again. Wasn't going to open it as a maze, and then I had loads of people messing going, there's a sunflower maze open, I said, right, okay, it's Ukraine had kicked off, it's the flower of Ukraine. I was like, right, the sunflower fields there, it's not a maze, we've just cut a path around it so you can enjoy them and leave a donation. Anyway, it was open for about 5 or 6 weeks, and it took like 1,700 quid in donations. I had to pay my nephew to park the cars, and it didn't stack up as much then. it cost me. I would have been better off writing a cheque for £5 and giving it to a charity.
And not dedicate the time and effort and use up your resources as staff.
Yeah.
In the field.
So this year I'm not doing it at all.
Okay.
It's had its day. There's I was the first one in the UK. I don't know what there was. I did find that other people in the world did it, but I didn't know anyone else did at the time. But loads of people have done it as well and copied it now. I mean, people have run me up how to do it as well, like a lot of people. So I actually made a video how to do it.
Yeah.
Just put it out there. But I'm growing some this year, but I'm not telling people where they are because I'm growing them commercially. I want to combine them for the oil.
Okay, yeah.
So if I'm going to combine them for the oil, I want to be able to go through with the sprayer and put fungicide on.
Yes.
Because the last few years I've not been able to go through with the spray because it puts lines in which would spoil the maize. But also, you don't want to put fungicide on if people are walking around like that day.
Sure, yeah.
But everything we've harvested so far has been mouldy by the time we've harvested it because they've rotted in the field because they've not had fungicide. So we're not. That's what I'm going to do this year.
Yeah, change the strategy with it. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll take a break there because I know the guys will have to cut and restart these cameras. But I've got one question for you first. You mentioned earlier about how did your mate take it when you drove over his car with the tractor?
With the taxi? Well, it was a scrap one. It was getting scrapped anyway. Better than my mate did when I backed over his motorbike by mistake. He'd had a week.
You backed over it in the tractor?
He come round, showed me his new motorbike, and he parked it in the yard behind one of the tractors. And the Merlot actually that I come here with. And we were doing something in it, and then he's like, "Oh, we'll go and get the tractor." And I just jumped on it, put it in reverse, and just did crunch, and it went.
And you drove over it. Not wrote
Didn't
off.
quite over it. Just smashed a bit on the floor. Yeah. So.
Good. So welcome back to our fourth podcast, part 2 with Olly Blogs. So Olly, the tractor run. You asked me to do it this year for the first time, and I was blown away. Just the scale of it and what went on, the effort that all the other farmers and things actually put into it, and your effort as well that you put into it. Am I right in saying it's been going 3 years and you started it?
Yeah, so this year will be the 4th year this December. I come up with the idea because, well, I didn't steal it, I suppose, but I just upgraded it. So they do it in the Isle of Man.
Yeah.
There's some lads out there that do it, and they get about 30, 40 tractors and they drive around all the villages. And I'd seen the pictures and it looked amazing. I thought we could do that bigger and better here. There's more tractors in the UK
It's
than
not
the
just
Isle.
tractors, they're lit up with thousands of Christmas
lit up
lights,
with
aren't
Christmas
they?
lights. And I thought, right, and it was middle of COVID again, you know, no one could do anything. And I just, again, social media, put on Facebook, who's up for doing this? Shared the picture from the Isle of Man, said, does anyone want to be involved with this? And loads of people were like, yeah. I thought, right, well, I need the police on board.
So you were appealing out to other farmers who own tractors to come and support the tractor run.
So, but I thought it needs to not just be lights on tractors. We need some purpose. So we're food producers. So I wanted to do something for the food bank. And then we donated money to Alder Hay from the sunflower maize. So I knew the fundraiser at Alder Hay, and I spoke to them and said, can we bring these tractors to Alder Hay? I've been in Alder Hay at Christmas. It's pretty bleak.
And Alder Hay's a local hospital here, isn't
local
it?
children's charity,
I was born there in Alder Hay Hospital.
So I thought, well, if we can take these tractors, a little bit of Christmas joy, then we can do something with the food bank, and then obviously drive around some of the areas that don't see tractors. Yeah. And then obviously raise money at the same time. So I said, who's up for helping do this? Who wants to be involved? Anyway, I had like 30 or 40 people come forward. So I was like, right, I need the police on board. So I spoke to my mate that works for the police, said, what do I do? And he said, you need to put a call into traffic, or well, I think it was traffic they're called. So I did that. I got Alder Hay to email them as well. And then I got my mate also to go and knock on the door the next morning. So the time it landed on the guy's desk, he was, it would come from a few different angles. Like, yeah, we'll help you support it. They probably won't admit it, but I don't think they were too busy, the traffic department, because obviously, like, there was no royal visits, there was no because they move prisoners around a bit as well, don't they? The motorbike team.
That's right.
There was none of that going on. So they were on board with it, which was great. So I come up with the idea on a Sunday, and we did it the following Sunday. My sister said it couldn't be done, so I was like, hold me beer. So yeah, we did it, but the problem was, it's like herding cats. You've got like 20 or 30 people saying they're coming, and then they're bringing the mates, and then you're like, well, is your mate the same mate as that mate? I'm trying to get the numbers. Yeah. So I quickly realised I had over 50. So
because the police need to know this. If they're escorting you and trying to control traffic, they need to know
convoy.
Numbers, don't they?
Yeah. So the police at the time on like the Wednesday, they were sort of on board, and I said, I want to go around the cathedral because it has a food bank, and circle it and get this really nice drone picture of all this light around the cathedral off these tractors. Anyway, the cathedral wouldn't let us in. The car parks are run by a management company, and they were like, oh no, it's shut, that's it, you know. So I was like, you can just leave the gates open and we'll lock them out. No. So anyway, I said to the police, they won't let us in the cathedral. And he said, you need to go to Stanley Park because you've got this huge car park between Liverpool and Everton's grounds that, you know, would be ideal. So I said, oh, who can I speak to about that? And he said, there's an MP in Bern. He's a patron of the fans supporting food banks. In fact, you gave him an award at the Echo Awards, didn't you? So I said, oh, no, Ian, he visited the Sunflower Maze. So I texted him and he said, oh, I'm just in Parliament. I'll ring you later. Sounds a great idea. Anyway, he did, and I told him what I wanted to do. Unknown to me, Alder Hayes in his constituency. Brilliant. So it was supporting his local hospital and his local people, supporting his food bank, and of course he had the contacts to get us into Stanley Park. So that was it sort of born. But we had about
on board straight
away. So we had about 50 tractors lined up. By the Friday, it was like, there might be about 80 here. Anyway, the police rung me and they said, oh, how are you getting on? Are you all set for Sunday? Because we'd arranged they were coming at Sunday at 3 o'clock and they'd help me plan the route that worked for them as well.
What sort of mileage was the route covering?
It's about 30 miles it was.
30 miles, okay.
So we changed it slightly this year, similar mileage, but just a bit different route. So they were okay with all that. And he said, what do you like for numbers? And I was like, oh, it's about 60 or 80 maybe. And he's like, oh, don't worry, we'll just bring a few more motorbikes. I was like, whew. Anyway,
he indicated how many motorbikes were originally going to be coming?
I think they had a 10 or 11, and I think they brought 13 and 2 police cars in the end. Anyway, Sunday, the tractors all start turning up, and it was the middle of COVID, so you couldn't mix, but they could all stay in the cabs.
Yes, yeah.
So I'd bought this sort of like pirate radio off eBay so that I could broadcast through the tractor radios the briefing, so they didn't have to get out the cabs. And all these tractors are turning up, and we had 100.
They're all turning up at your farm first, aren't they? And they've already pre-set their tractors.
Yeah, they
put
all the lights
on all their Christmas festival things.
So we'd got some really special ones because we'd spent all week making sure that we'd set the bar high for people. Anyway, we printed out 100 bits of paper of instructions on, and we're handing them as they drove through the gates. And we'd run out of bits of paper, and there's still tractors coming, so we knew that there was over 100 there. And the police had said there's about 60 or 80, and then the main policeman turned up with his white hat, and he's like, it's getting out of hand, this. It's too many, I don't think we can do this. I was like, what do you mean? No. It's like, you're going to have to tell someone to stay behind. Went, but they've spent all day putting the lights on, so you can tell them. He's like, well, can they not jump in with the mates? I went, well, it's COVID. Anyway, there's another policeman there, and he's like, oh, it'll be all right. So we did this briefing and set off, and of course, like the news had got hold of it by that point, and radio stations like, oh, how many tracks on? I'm like, about 80. Knowing full well that there was over 100, And I think to be fair, there's 106, 107 there was the first year. So everyone had a wonderful time bar me. Because I had a police radio, and it was to give me instructions that then I could broadcast to all the other tractors.
Because you drive the front tractor,
I drove the Convoy, front tractor,
maintain the speed.
So I've got this police radio, and they're like, tell them to drive closer, tell them they're leaving too big a gap, tell them this, tell them that, tell them not to change lanes until you do. So all I'm hearing is all this negativity off the police for like the first hour. But like the worst bit was, we left the yard and we got about a mile up the road, and there's all people spectating because they'd watched it all unfold during the week on my YouTube channel. Yeah. So they'd come to watch, and we get like up the bottom of the road out of the farmland, and we turn into like suburbia, and I just felt sick when I looked down the road and saw how many people were lying in the streets because it's the middle of COVID, and all you could see was just people either side of the road. I was like, oh my God, I've given the city COVID because they're all mixing. Anyway, it actually looked worse than it was.
It was outdoors,
but they were actually spaced out. But when you look down the road, you just saw all these thousands of people. And the streets were lined all the way. The radio station had picked up on it that day and been broadcasting what was happening. Anyway, we're about halfway through, and the policeman actually said, he said, just to let you know, I think it's doing really well. You know, we're quite happy with how it's going. I was like, oh, glad you've said that. I was like, glad you've said that, because I've been panicking that it's a disaster. And he's like, no, everything's going fine. Anyway, we did the route, we did the food bank donation, and carried on and got back to the yard. No one got COVID, and it was a great success. Nothing went wrong, and I think we raised 43,000, which was amazing.
In 2020?
So the radio station the next day were talking about, oh, you may have seen some tractors last night, and they've raised so much so far, and it carried on, and I think BBC Breakfast could have covered it as well. It certainly did the second year. And it got some good coverage and raised a lot of money, and people were delighted because there's nothing they could do as well, because it was like I say, it was a COVID year. So the next year we decided we'd do it again. They limited it to, I think, 110 tractors. So we did that again. I think we raised 60.
You're dyslexic, so I mean, it's
Yeah,
fine, isn't it?
yeah.
A few more in.
So we did. We went again, and I think we raised 63,000. And last year we raised, when you were on, we raised 75. But they were very strict on the numbers.
Yes.
It was like, I think again they let us have 110.
Yeah.
But it was like if there's 111, we're stopping it inside the yard. And can't leave. Yeah, and it's just grown every year. And my sister laughed at me because I actually met with one of the police chiefs, and we were talking about the event. I was like, yeah, I want it to be bigger than the Giants. Because obviously these huge giants come to Liverpool and like loads of people, loads of people go to watch. And I was like, yeah, I want it to be bigger than the Giants. He's like, only you could say that.
It's a good target to have, though, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
It blown me away, Ollie. I only did it in 2022, wasn't it? The first time I did it, and you arranged JCB to send a new JCB digger here for us, and I spent days. All of us spent days decorating it all. You know, we were getting excited. Kids were getting excited. We bought thousands. I think I had 3,500 Christmas lights going right around the bucket, the front axle, everything, the cab, the lot. And then obviously taking it round to yours. Laura come with me. She sat in the cab, and when it turned up at your farm, all of a sudden it was like, wow, this has got a powerful kind of aura about it, because one, I'd probably never even seen 10 tractors all together. And it wasn't just tractors, it was, other type of stuff, different machines, didn't it? I don't even know the names of some of them, big units that you don't see on the road very often. There was literally the 100 odd there, and then they all started to turn their lights on. You had the radio DJ there, didn't you? Because we were right behind him for some time. And when we set out, I can understand where the police are coming from, because when they've got to escort something like that, I think it was either you saying to me or the police give people a brief, didn't they, beforehand? Because if you've got 100 vehicles that are, let's say, 6 or 7 metres long, when you're driving at, let's say, 10 miles an hour, and there's a gap of 5 metres between them, that entire convoy then is like, I'd say, a mile and a half. Yeah. And then police bikes have obviously, you can't close the road for 20 odd miles route, can you? No. So then police bikes have got to race ahead in convoy to stop every T-junction that comes in left and right, so no one pulls out, and then that convoy doesn't get broken up. So all night long we were just seeing these police bikes racing up the side of us, just coordinating themselves, and I thought they'd done a fantastic job.
It's a spectacle, and
they'd done a brilliant job, because there was no, from what I'm aware, no problems whatsoever. There was no delays at all,
From a safety point of view, they want us to not stop. If we keep moving, if you pause, someone will think, I can cross the road here, and they run between them. And if they run between the tractors when the motorbikes are trying to get in position, they'll get splattered. So they want us to always keep moving and to keep doing that. The problem we had this year was, and we have it every year, we never know when the football fixtures are until very late. And last year when you came on, we thought, it's going to be easy this year. It's the World Cup. All the football fixtures are cancelled. But of course, the night we wanted to do it was going to be the World Cup final. And we had to plan in case England were in the final. And they needed police resource in the city centre for the pubs. Sure. So it meant that the timing was later than we'd have liked. So when we realised that England weren't in the final, that made it a little bit easier. And then when it didn't go into extra time, we were like, right, let's set off, because the police were on shift the next day. So they give up the time to do it. They come in out of hours to do it. But they had to be back because a load of them were in work the next day. So we actually left 15 minutes early. We'd had icy weather the week before. So the first part, the first part of the route was on rural roads. So they used police cars for that bit because they were safer than the bikes. But of course,
it's all going down farmers' lanes type of roads, aren't we, to start with?
But what happened then was the police bikes hadn't left our yard in front screaming on ahead, clearing stuff, because they had already gone in position in the city. There's only a few police cars came out. And then, because we'd gone 15 minutes early, there was cars trying to get parked up to watch us. So we ended up the first bit of the route very slow, to the point where a policeman walked down the road telling people to move out the way. So that was a little bit tricky.
Blown away how many people there, because I started to see just a row of 50, 100 cars. We only got a mile out of your farm. And then when you started getting more into the built-up areas, the tens of thousands of people that lined the streets.
I'd love to know how many. I mean, I was talking to my friend about this the other day. We're like, what's a football stadium? 50,000 people. And if you divided them up along 30 miles,
spread out,
there'd be, there must be 100,
easy
200.
Super exceeded it. 4 or 5 times over.
So that it's hard to know exactly, but everyone goes on about how much money we've raised, and it is great. Don't get me wrong. 75k for the hospital. But you
over
can't...
the full 3 years now, it's close to 150,000, am I saying?
No, we're getting to 175.
175?
The first 2 years,
Wow.
100k, yeah.
Yeah.
But you can't put a price on them kids in that hospital that are having a rubbish Christmas. The face is light up when all that comes through.
Because you don't just drive around the city centre and through the Strand area of Liverpool by all the Three Graces. We actually went into the hospital.
We go in the hospital through the grounds.
Yeah. And hundreds of kids, isn't it, who actually can't come out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even looking through the windows.
Yeah, and then there's tons for the food bank as well.
Yes,
of food.
Because you asked every tractor driver to bring a couple of bag loads, didn't you?
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
That part in between Stanley Park, between the football grounds, that was coordinated really well, how they go in and out and do your drop.
Yeah.
And your goods to all go towards the cause. So
yeah. The other nice thing as well is we go through a lot of the areas of the city that nothing normally happens. You know, they don't get stuff happening on their street.
Yeah.
And suddenly there's this spectacle comes through. And the other thing, it's free as well.
Yeah.
You know, they can take the kids and it's cost them nothing.
Do you have a date ready for this Christmas?
Well, it's funny actually. The other day I was in a meeting and is it the Canon, which is like the lead vicar for Merseyside, was there. And he's like, "Have you got a date for your combine, your tractor run?" And I was like, "Yeah, we always have it the last Sunday before Christmas because last year they had to move 28 carol services." The timing of them because of our tractor run. And I was like, yeah, it's always the last Sunday before Christmas. He's like, yeah, ours has always been the last Sunday before Christmas for 800 years.
800 years?
So as soon as we get the football fixtures, we can start to plan the date then.
Yeah.
And then the timing will be around that. But yeah, we would like to do it the last Sunday before Christmas every year. The problem is Liverpool and Everton, if they play at home,
the police, they need the resources there. Yeah, of course, yeah. So just one question. Was my driving good enough to warrant me joining again
I think
this year?
so, yeah. Well, I think we'll
sure?
try. Yeah, we'll get you another digger, yeah. I'm sure if JCB are watching, they'll be keen. So.
Yeah, please. And keep an eye on the post as well to find out the dates. Come and watch it because it is spectacular. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, there was people travelled from, I think Suffolk was the furthest I heard someone travel from to watch it.
Amazing, yeah. And each year it's getting bigger and better, isn't it?
Yeah. It'd be nice if
the
city council got on board and helped us a bit more with the organising, but just kind of with the first 2 years we just got on with it, and then last year they were like, oh, what about this, what about that, and only really came to us with obstacles, which we overcame. But it'd be nice if they thought, hold on a second, this is a free event, it's costing us nothing. Let's put a bit of effort in.
Bringing a big lot of joy to the city and helping the local charities and hospitals as well. So they should do. Come on, Liverpool City Council, you should do.
Now your revision's over, you've got loads of time on your hands.
My dear friend Steve Rotherham, I'm calling you out to stand your ground for this one, please, and get behind it and support it for us. Okay, Ollie, sometimes a bit of a tough area to talk about, but mental health. I know you're a big supporter of it, and you've got a fantastic thing set up across your YouTube channel, bringing people together to support one another. Tell us how that works and how it come about.
Yeah, so 7 years ago, just over 7 years ago, I lost a friend. He took his life, and I couldn't get my head around why. I was like, well, you know, he had everything to me in my eyes. So I started to learn a bit more about mental health, and through another friend, he was passionate about it, and he did what's called a Nuffield scholarship, where he travelled the world looking at aspects of mental health, particularly in the farming community, and he's now a trained psychotherapist. Anyway, in some of the things he'd done, he travelled to Australia, New Zealand and different things. Anyway, when he was in New Zealand, he found out that the dairy out there that collects the milk trains the milk tanker drivers to spot signs of poor mental health and depression in the farmers, because some of them farmers, the only person they'll see week on week is the milk tanker driver, because it's, you know, you're remote. Yeah. So I was really interested in some of the things he was saying and how to help people, and one of the main things is just people talking. And I was like, we need to do something. So we set up these Are You Well Aware workshops, and the concept of that was we invited people to them that would go to farms on a daily basis, whether they be vets or feed reps or things like that, and to teach them to spot the signs and what to say or what not to say. Get people to open up and talk, because that's the best cure, if you will. So through doing that, I started to learn a lot about mental health as well. And one of the stats, if you will, from these workshops we were doing was the biggest lie in the world is I'm fine.
when you ask somebody, how are you?
Yeah.
They reply, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm okay, I'm fine. You know, I think
the
it's...
The reality of it is they're not. They're crying inside.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. You know, after I've read the terms and conditions, or, you know, I love you, it's the biggest lie in the world, or before it. So I thought, well, it's so simple, this. You know, if you answer as a percent, so how are you today? You know, I'm 60%.
And scale it on a 1 to 100%.
Yeah. You know, I'm 100%. You know, 100%, no, 100%. You know,
perfect. Great.
Yeah. But I think if anyone's lower than about 70, you can say, well, you know, what's the matter? You know, and then you might find, oh, you know, I'm having a shit day. This has gone wrong. That's gone wrong. You know, the dog's died. And then generally there'll be someone who'll be like, well, yeah, well, I've not had the best day actually. Now you come to mention it, and then people just talk a bit more.
Started them talking.
Yeah,
Do you think that's where it's your YouTube channel has become a brilliant platform for doing that?
Yeah, so
communities together.
So what I try and do is encourage people to, you know, answer each day how they're feeling, you know, and put it in. And I'd say to the other people that are watching, you know, read the comments. If someone's a bit lower percentage, you know,
because whether we admit it or not, we all suffer somewhere down the line, don't we? You know, we have good days, we have bad days, we have medium days. And it differs all the time.
79% of people will at some time suffer poor mental health.
Really?
But everyone will still have days when they're not 100%. But to an extent where it can affect the sort of day-to-day functions, you know. Yeah. I can't be bothered getting up in the morning, you know, that kind of thing. So I learned a lot. And at the time, my friend, when he took his life, I just couldn't understand why, and we didn't see any signs, but it's because we didn't know them. You know, like... You weren't looking for the signs,
We
weren't looking for the signs, but the fact that, you know, he'd send you messages really late at night, it was because he wasn't sleeping. You know, you think, oh, he's just because he's still out enjoying himself, but it wasn't. You know, he was at home on his own. Yeah. You know, and he had such a huge circle of friends, so I hadn't seen him for a few months, and it was only when we got together after it had happened, and we're like, well, I've not seen him for a few months. And he'd completely gone off radar. Okay. But because he had such a big circle of friends, we all just thought he was with Jono or he was with Dan, you know, and that was the thing.
It's very sad, it's very sad.
So 7 years ago now, and the guy that services my combine, so David, my friend that took his life, me and him had a big passion for big combines, you know, like the last machine I went to buy, so he came, I've swapped it now, but he came with me to buy it, and got talking to the mechanic who was getting it ready for harvest, and he said, my friend did the same thing. It's like, we need to do something about this. And we're like, oh, you know what we should do? It's a big problem, it's a big machine, it's the length and breadth of the country. It's not just farmers. They have it a bit worse because they have to deal with the weather and low prices. I said, we need to drive a combine to John O'Groats to Land's End. You know, everyone does it on a bike, but it's not very visible, is it? So that's where the idea come off. But he was getting married the next year.
And this is the combine run that
this
you
is
do
the combine
as well
run.
as the tractor run.
Yeah. So we were like, right, we need to do it. And it took 7 years because we've had COVID, we've had fuel crisis, we've had wars, you know, we've all this kind of thing. Anyway, we're doing it this weekend, we're starting. Okay. So the combine's arrived, we've had it wrapped. So we're doing it for the mine charity. Yeah. And then the manufacturer of the combine, they've got a charity that they choose each year. And this year it's children with cancer. Okay. So we're doing it for 2 charities, so you can go on the Just Giving and pick which one. And we're hoping it'll take 4.5 days to drive from John O'Groats to Land's End. It's nearly 900 miles on a combine.
Wow, and how fast does a combine harvester go?
It does about 26 mile an hour.
So I'm trying to do the maths now, over 900 miles.
Yeah, we want to try and average 200 miles a day.
200 miles a day?
The first day's 230 miles.
Has a combine harvester ever driven that far in a day? Because you have a field of a mile square or whatever, and it goes up and down, etc.
Not that we're aware of, no.
Okay, so that comes with its challenges as well as...
Certainly not in the UK. I mean, there's kind of mechanical challenges as well, because no one's ever tested it for that long on the road.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
It's on tracks, so we don't believe a track vehicle's ever done it either. The problem we've got as it stands today is the weather's forecast to be really warm. If you've got an air temperature of 22, you can get a tarmac temperature of like 40.
And the track chew it up?
Well, no, it'll overheat the tracks.
Okay, yeah.
So that's...
What'll that do, cause them to skid, or...?
They might just like snap and fall off.
Because normally they're going through boggy fields.
Yeah. So, you know, you're normally up and down soil, it's quite, there's no sort of impact.
Yes.
Whereas this is obviously on hard tarmac.
Yeah.
A lot of heat going to be generated because they're constantly moving.
Tracks on it, yeah.
So you know when you play with an elastic band that gets warm, well essentially it's a huge elastic band.
Yeah.
But the reason it's on tracks is so it's narrow enough to fit down the road.
Okay.
But only have a light footprint. So you've got this huge surface area touching the road, which is great for the soil, but it's not great for generating heat.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay, so that's a challenge.
So that's one of the challenge, and then the fuel as well. So we're using renewable fuel, so you can't just get it anywhere. It's basically fuel grown in a field from vegetable oil.
You have to shuttle that alongside it in vehicles to top you up?
So what we've had to try and estimate, which is quite clever actually. The manufacturer have what they call telematics on the machine, so they can log into everyone's machine, see the fuel economy use and the fuel use. So they compared 56 machines to the same model of how many miles to the gallon they were doing on the road. Yeah. And we worked out that we should use about 1900 litres of fuel. So we only really need to fill up once, but we don't quite know where. So to make it easy, we've filled up now. Yes. And then we're going to fill up at Lockerbie. So A.W. Jenkinson, you see the trucks with the trees on the side that cart all the wood chips. So we work with them on the farm as well. They've got a power station up at Lockerbie, and it's kind of like a third the way. So we're going to call in next Monday, I think it'll be, and we're going to top up as much as we can fit in.
And is it just one combine harvester?
It's just one combine and an escort vehicle. So we've sticking my car up and put all the flashing lights on it, and then we'll then top up again at Adam Henson's in the Cotswolds. So he's got a farm there, and he's putting us up for the night because he's got these lodges. So we're going to stop at Adam Henson's, you know, off Country File. Yeah. Refuel, and then that should take us to the end, which is Land's End. And hopefully we can meet a truck, put it back on a truck. We'll head for home, and then the combine then heads to Nottingham, where there's a big agricultural show on the week after, and the Wurzels are going to be playing on a stage next to it.
Next to it?
Yeah, oh, so after day some, we've got a brand new combine harvester, so it should be good fun. But the main thing is raising the awareness and getting people to talk and answer truthfully how they are each day.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we're hoping that, you know, BBC Breakfast, I think, are going to cover it, which would be nice. It'd be nice if they'd cover us every day of where we've got up to, but we'll see.
That would be good, wouldn't it? So the main aim is obviously to get any form of media support, isn't it? Radio, TV, etc., following the story on a day-to-day basis. Anyone locally all over the country supporting it on social media as well, posting out about it and sharing what you've done and what you're talking about it. And the two charities you said, Mind and a children's cancer charity, was it? All them details, we can find them on your...
Yeah, if you follow any of my socials, the links are on there. It's I think if you go into Just Giving and put in Jongle, which is John O'Groats Land's End. Okay. Joggle it's called.
Joggle.
It'll bring it up. So like we've really used the Just Giving page as a page.
Yes.
So all the information's on there, because I've got loads of people saying, oh, what time are you going to be here? What time are you going to be there? We don't know yet until we can see what pace we can make on the first day. But
what we're talking about it on a daily basis on your blog.
We'll be doing some
streams.
They're
following that, they can keep up with you.
We're going to try and get some people in the cab as well and do kind of what we're doing now as well, chat to people. But the other thing is, the clever thing with the machine is it's got this telematics on it. So if people can download the manufacturer's app, they can track us and see exactly where we are and the speed we're doing and the fuel we're using and all this kind of stuff.
Good modern technology for it.
Yeah, so for kids it's great because they can really see a lot of the tech that we're using nowadays in farming.
Brilliant. Okay, so what date are you setting off on that, did you say?
Sunday the 4th of June at 5 a.m. in the morning.
5 a.m. Sunday the 4th of June, and a guide of an estimated finish day?
We're hoping Thursday afternoon of that week, so is that the 9th?
Yes.
That's the plan.
Brilliant.
We hope we can keep to that schedule, because we've basically booked hotels each night.
Yeah. And are you going to do shifts driving it?
Yeah, so there's a team of 4 of us, so that we can rotate the driving round. So we'll kind of like do 2 hours of the car, 2 hours of the combine, just work it round. So you'll do 2 hours maybe on the combine, and then you'll maybe do 2 hours in the passenger of the combine. Yeah. And then you'll do 2 hours in the car, and then 2 hours of the passenger in the car, and then just all rotate. So everyone gets a rest.
Silly question, but how comfortable is a combine harvester?
It is pretty comfortable, to be fair. Yeah, it is. You know, it's got climate control. There's a few people on the farming forum who are like, oh, if you're going to do this, why don't the money it's costing to do it? Why don't you just give that straight to the charity? But that's not the point. It's the raising the awareness. The raising the money for the charity is the byproduct of raising the awareness, and you know that's why we're doing it.
Yeah. And it's encouraging more people who are maybe suffering and feeling a little bit down at whatever scale or level they're at, talking more.
Yeah,
That's the key thing, isn't it? Is getting them to communicate.
And as soon as people heard about what we were doing, there was so many people come forward wanting to sponsor it. Like everyone's like, oh, can we pay for your hotel rooms? You know, or Adams Henson, or we'll put you up in our farm lodges. You know, Certas Energy, we'll provide the fuel because you can use our renewable fuel. You know, and that's a massive cost.
Brilliant.
You know, you know, we thought, you know, it's going to cost us thousands each to do it.
Yeah.
But in reality, everyone's come forward, and anything, and it, like we're nearly over sponsored, so that's then gone straight to the charity as well.
Yeah.
The insurance company, I rung them up to say, look, you know, are we insured on our normal policy for this?
Yes.
And they were like, look, we'll make sure that everything's insured. And also we have, I think it was £7,000 a year we give to charity. Each office gets given an allocated amount. They were like, we're splitting it between two charities, so we want to give you like £3,500 as well.
Lovely. That's amazing.
So, you know,
what insurance company is that called?
NFU Mutual.
Brilliant.
So that they've been really on board, and like I say, loads of other people like the banks and all this, they've been brilliant.
Brilliant.
So yeah.
It sounds great. It sounds like well, certainly a great challenge for you all, that's for sure, and of course for a good cause as well. So Olly, I wish you all the very best with that and everything else you're doing in the future, and your social medias and your YouTube channel and blog is just growing and growing, but helping so many other people as well, which I think is brilliant.
That is the nice thing about these the platform and the followers. You can help people. So like the police guy that helps us with the combine, the tractor run at Christmas, he wanted to do a charity bike ride, and he's like, I want to raise £1,000. Can you help me get a bit of reach? And I was like, yeah, 100%. I said, come and see me. So he came around and said, right, so we'll get you in today's video and we'll tell people what you're doing. And I was just like, look, see this guy, he makes the tractor run happen. He needs our help now.
Yeah.
See if you can afford £5 or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, can you help him raise this money for he was doing it for officers that had lost their lives, the family of officers that had lost their lives. Anyway, we did a video and it went out, and within 40 minutes he had his £1,000 and he got about £4,500. It was amazing. And that's the nice thing about this big audience. You can just have a little, you know, £1 off everyone and you're there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If everyone can give a little bit, if everyone can do it, it makes a big bit.
Yeah, and it's like as well, I used to get loads of people going, oh, can you give little Johnny a mention? It's his birthday today, because I do a video every day.
You do the birthday bumper?
Yeah, that's it. And I used to write people's names on the bumper of the sprayer,
and would they donate then, would they?
Well, it was getting out of hand, and I said, right, I'm not doing it unless you donate to the air ambulance.
Yes. Yeah.
And anyways, that's what's happened. In just over a year, we raised £35,000 now for the air ambulance, just by reading people's names out for the birthday.
Brilliant.
Rubbish for YouTube because it affects the algorithm, because people don't want to watch it and fast forward that bit unless it's their birthday. But, you know, 35,000 for the air ambulance is amazing in just over 12 months. Absolutely.
Another great cause. Olly, I could sit here and talk to you all day long. You're a fascinating guy and you're doing loads of great causes. Let's do this again. Maybe
we'll do it one evening and have a beer, can't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, seems wrong, doesn't it? We're sitting in our bar and not had a beer. We've had coffees and water. But next time, the beers are on me.
Sound.
It's a pleasure, mate. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks for having me.